I just got to get my page refreshed over here so I can get the chat open on my laptop. Oh, Lena's saying hello. Hi, Lena. Please be careful. She almost knocked over my tripod. She thinks she's a small dog, but she's not. But good morning. Happy Sunday. Tomorrow is the summer solstice. It's too early to be singing on a Sunday. I take that back. It's never too early to be singing. Got it. Okay. That is up. So hello, welcome. Please say hello and good morning or whatever you want to say as you come into the chat. Just say hey. Hey, Casey, good morning. Little delay on my laptop, but I'm also kind of seeing them pop up on my phone. So today I'm going to do something. I know I had kind of started the past couple live streams doing topics, and this month I had actually gotten I'd gotten some really good questions through email that I responded to in email, but also wanted to talk about here, and they're kind of like big enough that they can cover a full live stream. So I'm going to actually cover those today as opposed to having like one dedicated specific topic. So we'll do those, we'll hang out, we'll do our Q&A. So if you have questions at any point, throw them in the chat and I'll get to those as well. And then of course we'll do our group bone throwing. So good morning, everybody. We got a couple of you in here. There was one more thing I was going to check before I actually got rolling. And no, of course, I can't remember what it was. Well, I don't know. We'll just get started. So one of the questions, I will still email you. I'm a little bit behind on emails. I'm a little bit behind on a lot of things. I have a couple of health related issues. It's not my foot. Of course the foot heals and it's something else that's got to come up, right? So it's not the foot. Foot is good, but I've got some stuff going on that I'll probably talk about in my vlog that has just been, like, one of them is chronic fatigue, so that's been a thing. But it's also just been, sorry, I've been in and out of a lot of doctor's appointments and stuff too. It's nothing super serious, but it is something I need to get a handle on. So I've just been very busy, you guys. So if I haven't gotten to your emails, I'm so sorry. I will still email you back, even if I do answer your question here. Just everything's been sort of delayed and hectic. And you know, that's how it goes. Good morning, Kara. Happy solstice. I'm so excited. I had a group celebration with the coven over the weekend or on Friday, and it was lovely. I'll talk about it in the vlog, but it was absolutely lovely. Good morning, Janet. Happy midsummer. Okay, so the first question I wanted to, good morning, Jacob. Jacob Davis. I know a Jacob Davis. Is this the Jacob Davis? That's probably a common name though, so the likelihood would be. So the first question I wanted to get to was, there is a lot on the internet about intention, visualization, grounding and centering, but not much on manifesting, focusing, and sending energy. I frequently seem to only use my energy, and it leads to total burnout afterward. What method do you use, and what other methods are you aware of? So this is a really, really good question, because yeah, I've been in that position where I didn't have a really good foundational practice of grounding and centering, I'll say, is my number one method. And doing spell work or ritual work, or even just certain practices that aren't full-blown spells, can be really, really exhausting because you're using all of your own energy. So one thing I will recommend right off the bat is that I did a book review on this one recently, and it was New Energy Pathways. That book is so excellent, and it does give really good practices and resources for pulling energy from not only the earth, but also from the sun. I think the moon, I'm now trying to remember if the moon is mentioned in there, but pulling energy sources from outside of yourself. My number one practice is grounding, pulling energy up from the earth. I do want to do a video on just grounding and centering because I know a lot of people hear those terms thrown around but don't really have a good grasp on how to do them. It's really simple, actually. You just focus on your body connecting with the earth, whether that's like root systems coming down from your feet or imagine like a light column. And not everybody uses the earth. I know I do, but some people use the sky, the moon, the sun, that sort of thing. And then just draw that energy up into you, do your working, center it, do your working, and then any excess energy, send it back down. But another one I wanted to talk about was the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. Now, this is kind of a common piece of ceremonial magic that is taught in like Golden Dawn practices. It's more for banishing, for cleansing your space of like chaotic and negative energies. And it's also kind of taught as a foundational piece, not only for that and for yourself, of course, as well. But it's also taught as sort of it lays the groundwork for learning ceremonial magic and going through the physical and vocal, I don't want to say like repetitions, but it kind of, it's almost like a warm-up routine. And there's a lot of traditions out there like that like Golden Dawn or that sort of thing that will make this the first thing you learn and you practice it over and over and over again. And some people do it in the morning and at night. But the reason I bring this up is before I had a really good practice of grounding and centering, I was using this ritual, and I would find that every time I did it, I could not get to sleep at night. And I was just like the whole day, like buzzing with energy. And I was just like, I feel good. I feel good. I must have just banished negative energy. And I figured that was it. I mean, that was part of it. But I thought that's all it was. This makes me feel really good. But I was drawing on this energy. And yeah, it was to the point where I was like, I can't sleep. Like, I got to stop doing this because it's problematic, because I can't get to sleep. I've got, work in the morning or an appointment the next day or whatever. And I actually stopped doing it for a while until I really learned grounding and centering. So now I can do it. I just have to make sure to send that energy back down into the earth. But that is a really good way to raise energy and not just pulling it from outside of yourself. Let's see, because I kind of want to manifesting. Yeah, focusing energy. Like I said, that's another good one for that book I recommended. Most people draw it into their center. I like to draw it into my center and then send it out through my hands. Some people find using items to focus energy, whether that is a wand or like charging up a specific item and then using that, or just using your hands and creating like an energy sphere. This is another way to send energy. Jam packing it with a ton of energy and intention, whatever that intention is, and then just sending it out. And now sending energy is a different thing. This one is I find it's really personal, to be honest. It's a very personal process because a lot of people visualize it and feel it a different way. Some people will use like energy balls and like kind of send those out. People will imagine it's like fireflies or butterflies or dragonflies and like let it lift off and take away. And again, other people will send it into an item and then activate that item. So for example, sending that energy into like a candle and then lighting said candle and using that to send that energy out. I'm sorry if I'm not being specific enough in answering this question. But I would highly recommend looking into the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram and new energy pathways. Bruce, I'm trying to think of his name now. I'm drawing a blank on the author's name, but I do have a book review on it. So just check my book review playlist. I'll link it down below at the end of the live stream. Um, okay, let me get back to the chat. I think that wraps up. Um, Same Jacob. Oh my gosh. Okay, good morning. Hey, that's so funny. Hey Boo, good morning. Cheflurf. Cheflurf. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It looks pretty straightforward. Good morning. Hey Witch of Gale. My day's going pretty well so far. It's Father's Day, so I'm going to meet up with my family later and going out to eat. Um, but it's been a I had a busy week, and then the weekend's been a lot more chill and relaxed. So that's been nice. Pagan chords. Ecuador. Oh, what time is it there? I'm like trying to think geographically. My geography's not really good, guys. But good morning. Um, okay. I'm gonna get back to so another really good question. My uptick in questions about deity has increased since I put out that video about my current thought process of working with Hecate and how that feels. And Destiny, good morning. British Columbia. So I think we're in the same time zone, although I think there is a certain cutoff point. I'm not sure actually. No, I know most of British Columbia is in the same time zone. What does it mean? Oh my gosh. Gus, I'm so sorry to hear that. Yeah, go handle your stuff. We will see you later. Thank you for checking in really fast. That's horrible. I hope you're okay. 11 a.m. Okay, that's not too bad. I mean, I don't know why I said it like that. I'm just always paranoid. I'm like, somewhere in the world, it's like really late or really, really early, right? Or I don't know. So I'm just like, I hope. Still playing with this whole time thing. So I'm trying to figure out like when's the best time to come in and do the live stream where most people can tune in and it's not inconvenient for people. Um, have you been reading Keeping? Oh yeah. So I do have Keeping Her Keys and Entering Hecate's Garden, both of those. Wait a minute, entering. Let me look that. Sorry, I'm just Googling it really fast because I'm pretty sure. Yes, so this one I already started reading. There's a few Hecate garden books, so I wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right ones. See the cover really fast. Yeah, I actually started reading that one. Um, and I wanna review it because I think it's a really great book, not just for people who are interested in working with Hecate, but also just like herbalism in general. So that's one I'm in the middle of right now that I'm really enjoying. Yeah, no, Gus, go take care. I'm so sorry. That's so horrible to hear. Like, what a way to have a Sunday. Like, I guess any day that's having your car totaled by a hit and run is never a fun thing. Okay, let me get some coffee. I know this is tea with Tiffany, and I always end up drinking coffee. Okay. The next question, like I said, I've been getting a lot of questions about working with deity, but I will say, like, just keep in mind, everybody, I'm brand new to working with deity. I do know some stuff, but so I'll answer what I can, but I'll also tell you when I'm just like, I don't know. I'm so fresh to this aspect of paganism that, you know, I can't answer everything. But sometimes I can point you in the right direction, but I can't always, I don't always know. I mean, that really goes for anything, but I don't know everything. I'm so sorry. Okay, one of the questions was, how can I respectfully request help from a deity without making them my patron deity? Which is a really good question because, sometimes you just want to work with somebody, like make a request of them for a specific thing, but you don't necessarily like you like to every once in a while give offerings, every once in a while ask them for something, keeping it casual as opposed to dedicating yourself to them and to their work. And so how do you keep it casual? And realistically, I think some of that kind of depends on the deity, although I think most are not. Okay, let me just answer the question directly. Start off with, get to know who they are, their likes, their dislikes, what they do, what they stand for. That's of course most important. You don't want to just pick a deity at random and be like, hey, do something for me. Make sure it's in line with your own beliefs and with what your goal is for that specific working that you want to request their help with. I think that goes without saying. You probably already know that, but start putting out offerings for them. Open up a dialogue with them. That's really important, and be clear about what your own, like what you're trying to establish with them, because if they're like, no, I don't want to, they'll let you know if they're like, no, I'm looking for a follower, not just a one-time deal. And for the most part, I don't really think that's going to be the case, but again, I'm not the authority on deity work. So be aware of that. But and they may say, well, hey, yeah, I'm down to do this thing for you, but here's something I want in return that goes beyond just basic, placing out offerings on your altar. And just, you can always say no. You can always say, that's too much for me. I'm not comfortable with that. Or I'm incapable of doing that. You can always say no. And you don't have to, like, they're not going to like smite you or anything like that. Like, you don't have to worry. It's just all about opening up that dialogue and that communication and being clear what you want out of it. Don't do a full on like dedication ritual just to get like, just for one thing, if that's not what you're after, if you're not after a full relationship. But you don't have to feel like you're being disrespectful by just asking for one thing. You just need to be upfront and clear. I mean, it's kind of like a relationship with another person, right? Like everybody just needs to be honest and open and communicate. And that's through, communicate through meditation. Do put out those offerings just to start to establish that groundwork. You don't want to just ask for something out of nowhere. They're going to be like, I don't know you, That was one point that I talked about in my video on some of the reasons why spells fail, because people will go, well, I don't want a full relationship with this deity, so I'm just going to ask for something and include them in my working. But they don't know you. There's no established relationship there. There's no pre-established communication. So just get that started. As long as you are respectful in general, it will be respectful. You don't have to worry about it like it being like an all or nothing deal. So I'm seeing the chat active, so let me pop over here. Okay. Maiden Mother Crown. Okay. So sorry, I'm like reading everything and I'm like, where do I respond first? Yeah, Casey, that's actually I'm really excited. Like once I picked up that book, I got really excited with it, like reading the introduction and I found, and then I lost it because my computer crashed, but I found a really cool website for somebody who is, because obviously like Hecate works a lot with poisonous, like, or is associated with a lot of like poisonous plants, which I'm nervous to work with because I don't know anything. Which I'm not sure, I'm not deep enough into that book to know how much it touches on all of those, but I found this one really cool website with an herbalist who is very well educated in appropriate doses for things like tea. I mean, obviously they don't all be, consumed in a certain way, but I'm really excited because that just is really, really interesting to me and kind of calls out to me. Because I always like those, I always kind of enjoy that. I feel a calling towards that, like that, there's the dark aspect. You can, just because something is like poisonous or there's a dark aspect or something doesn't mean it's not useful, that it's not still beneficial. There's not still some good in there. Like I've always found a certain calling to that. And that's kind of, I don't know, I just find it interesting. Okay, so Jacob's asking, would you touch on the maiden, mother, crone, triple goddess in Wicca? Yeah, so I am also not Wiccan, but I can touch on, what I know. I should say what I remember, because I did learn, I did learn a lot of it many, many years ago, but I quickly realized that Wicca is not really my path. So I kind of, set that aside, but I do remember stuff. So, the maiden, mother, crone, the three aspects of the triple goddess. And if anybody in the chat is Wicca, if I'm wrong, or is Wiccan, sorry, if I'm wrong on any of this, like, please feel free to hop in and correct me. But a lot of that has to do with the life cycle in general, the year cycle. Like, a lot of it folds into the meaning of each of the Sabbats in the Wiccan tradition. She has these three stages of her life. The young maiden, the mother, she's pregnant and then gives birth to the god. And then the crone, where she's older, she's wiser, has lived her life, and then she comes back around to the maiden form. So it's like, I know the significance to me would be the full life cycle. I work a lot with the life cycle. I work a lot with cycles in general in my craft and in my own form of paganism and recognition of that spirituality. That's something that's really important to me. It just speaks a lot to me. So that was one thing that I did find interesting about Wicca, but it didn't, Wicca in general wasn't something I stuck with. But that actually does tie into one of the other questions I got about the god and goddess. So I'm sorry if that wasn't a very good answer. But I'm sorry, I'm not Wiccan. But yeah, like, I'm getting repetitious here, but for me, it's all about that cycle, the life cycle, the seasonal cycle, the annual cycle, the cycle of life and death that's in nature, and of course, reflected in our own lives as well. Do you see Hecate in all three, maiden, mother, crone, or just one aspect? I see her more as in one aspect, personally. I do sometimes, and this is probably, I can't say it's probably going to change. It shifts. Let me say it shifts. And part of that is because the relationship with Hecate is very, very new. So I'm actually curious to see how that will develop over time. Okay, good. You understand better. Okay, good. Yeah, I'm not like the best resource on on Wiccan beliefs and things like that. Oh my gosh. My hair's I just made it worse. My hair's a little messy today and I was trying to fix it, but okay, well, let's just quit fiddling with my hair. And will I be watching the sunrise? I am an early riser. I would like to, and I will be honest, I'm going to try to. But if I don't make it, I've been dealing with a whole host of symptoms that I'm getting all kinds of fun blood tests for and stuff. And one of those is chronic fatigue. And I've been having many, many nights where I just like knock out and have been sleeping for like 10 hours, 11 hours. And then I wake up not feeling good and still feeling crappy and tired. And so I'm going to try my hardest to be up for sunrise, but I don't know if it's going to happen this year. I normally do that. I normally am up for the sunrise on the summer solstice, but this year I'm not sure. I do see more questions in the chat, but I want to touch on this one that I got in email because it does go in with the Wiccan god and goddess. And so somebody asked, they said they're brand new. Do they need to pick a god and goddess? And I've gotten this question before. Do they need to pick a god and goddess? Do they need to be from the same pantheon? They don't know. So they said, I don't know if I want to choose. Will they come to me in their own time? So do you need to pick a god and goddess? From my understanding, from what I learned when I came to Wicca, And that is a Wiccan thing, just to be clear, because the email that I got did not specify if this person was Wicca, but a lot of beginner resources for paganism in general and magic are very Wiccan focused. So a lot of times those two get kind of convoluted. And so people who aren't trying to focus solely on Wicca get confused and think that the god and goddess aspect is a part of paganism in general, and it's not. Although, if you're not Wiccan and the whole god and goddess duality thing works for you, then I mean, by all means, go for it. So, do you need to pick a god and goddess? No, you do not. You can, there's lots of Wiccans who simply work with the goddess. You also don't have to, so you can choose a male god and a female goddess if you want. You can also keep them as just sort of general, the triple goddess, you know, and the horned god, or I think that's right with Wicca, the horned god, right? Let me know if I'm wrong on that. You can keep them general and not go any more specific than that. They can be from the same pantheon. They can be from different pantheons. You can also, you know, I know one person who chooses that it's the mother moon and the father sun, or the mother earth and the father sky. And so Lena, sorry guys. Lena's just saying morning to the world. So it's really up to you. And yeah, if you want to wait and just kind of keep them open in general and recognize it more as just a duality, the male and female aspects, you know, you can. And then if a deity comes to you and starts sending you signs and you want to wait till that happens, if that happens, by all means, you can do so. I'm trying to think of like other, you can also, you know, find somebody who is a placeholder who's androgynous, or, you know, doesn't have a gender or doesn't really fit on that male female gender spectrum, and, or, you know, the two ends of it, and you can recognize it that way. It's so up to you. It's very flexible. So I think that answers that question. Let me get back to the chat. I do have one more great question I got in the email, but I'm going to get back to the chat for now. Jacob, will you tell us about your path? Are you in? Okay. So I for years was a solo practitioner, and I still partially am, although now I am part of a coven, and have been for the past few months, which has been a really wonderful experience. And I enjoy doing both simultaneously. There's pros and cons to both, so I've really enjoyed that. My path with paganism definitely did start with Wicca. I feel like most people's do. I learned pretty quickly it didn't quite seem like the right fit for me for various reasons, which I don't want to go into right now. I will make a video on that because I've gotten that question before, like, why isn't Wicca your thing? And I don't know. I just want to get my thoughts organized in a script before I say it, because I don't want it to sound like I'm bashing Wicca in any way. It just wasn't right for me. So I started exploring other areas, and I just started kind of finding meaning in general paganism, and also in different, just straight up like occult areas, like chaos magic really speaks to me. I love chaos magic, so that got folded in. And then I just started finding different areas of meaning. So I became very eclectic, and I've always been considered myself an agnostic, because I don't know really where my beliefs sit when it comes to deity, and that's something I still question despite working with deity, but I won't like go too hard into that topic, because I did just release a video about that, so I don't want to make everybody listen to me talk about it again. But you know, I'm big on questioning things. I don't have any really set hard and fast, like, this is absolutely true, because I just don't know. I know I'm very limited in my knowledge being human. I can only know so much for sure. Like there's no, anyway, so I've always considered myself an agnostic, and I still do. And so I consider myself an agnostic, eclectic pagan. But a lot of my work, um, my craft work, as well as my spirituality as a pagan, focuses on definitely nature for sure. That's a huge one, all aspects of nature. And then cycles as well, like I mentioned before. Um, because I find a lot of beauty in and meaning in cycles and patterns, ongoing patterns, and synchronicities. So that's just something that works in really well. I know that's kind of non-specific, but my path is very non-specific and all over the place. I feel like most people's are, so. um Chronically ill witch here too. I'm so sorry to hear that, but it's nice to hear I'm not alone. Yeah, I like I've been I don't know, stuff has kind of come up in the past year that it was a lot of random symptoms that I thought were, for a long time I've just been like, oh, it's just stress. Oh, I slept too much. Oh, I didn't sleep enough. Oh, it's inflammation. Oh, I worked out too hard. Oh, I didn't work out enough this week. Oh, my diet was slightly different than the week. Like there's just been a whole host of symptoms, and I've been to 4 different doctors now trying to get help. And I keep getting told things like, well, you're a woman over 30, which I will strangle somebody. So I have a doctor now that is at least giving me blood work, but I don't quite feel as validated and advocated for as I feel like I should be. So I will probably change doctors again, but we're figuring things out. So I'm sorry to hear that, but I also chronically ill. Oh. Also, sorry, good morning beyond authentic. Like I meant to say good morning and I was in the middle. I saw you pop up and then I totally forgot to say good morning. So good morning. Actually, everybody, Beyond Authentic, and that's an authentic with a 1 instead of an I, also has an amazing channel, and I encourage you to go over and check it out when you get a chance. So I just want to give a little shout out. Okay, sorry, let me get caught up on the chat here. Also, nearly downing my coffee. Okay, and need water. Yeah, I can see that. Like, sorry, I'm like reading things and then I assume everybody knows what I just read when I start talking in response. He said, for me, she's mainly in her cronish aspect, that's Hecate, like early cronehood rather than her decrepit old crone state. Yeah, I mostly, when I see her, it's been very like at some stage between maidenhood and motherhood, which I think the reason for that is because that's what I am. I'm 32, so I'm like somewhere in those stages. And so I feel like maybe because like that's what I relate to the most. But I also feel like as our relationship gets deeper and more complex, that will shift, because that makes sense in the beginning. Come to me as something I recognize, something I relate to, and then show me what I need to see as opposed to like what I will. Does that make sense? I don't know. Oh my gosh. Oh, well then in that case, good afternoon. It's 5:30. Yeah. Yay! Oh. um yeah, so I've been looking into hypothyroidism, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, PCOS, celiac disease, although I don't really, one of my major issues is unexplained weight gain and inability to lose weight. Which obviously is not like typically with celiacs, you lose weight because you aren't absorbing nutrients. But I also know that celiacs and things like hypothyroidism tend to go hand in hand a lot of the time. And then also, I don't know, there's like a whole host of things that are all very, very similar. So it's a process. The most annoying thing in the world, because I know all of you who are on here right now with chronic illness have dealt with doctors who don't listen to certain things. The most irritating thing, so as I think most of you know, I'm a personal trainer. I've been a personal trainer for years now. I also lost 130 pounds through diet and exercise. And then I maintained that for 2 years. So it's not like I lost a bunch of weight on a crash diet. So then when I went back to normal, of course, I gained some of the weight back. Like that's not the case. I maintained it for a long time. So basically my point with saying all that is I know how to lose weight. I know how to maintain a healthy weight. I'm still very active. I would have understood with the pandemic, just not moving around as much for work. I would have understood if I had gained maybe like 15 pounds or something. That would have made sense. Even when my foot was broken, I was still weightlifting. I was just using a bench and like kneeling on it with that leg and doing upper body movements and core exercises, and I was still able to do some glute exercise, like I was still keeping it up. And then I was even like adjusting my caloric intake when my foot was broken because I understand you're moving less, you're burning less. So I know the math behind it. I have the drive and the power. The doctors just kept telling me like, well, you're probably still eating too much and not exercising. And I'm like, if anybody tells me that, I'm gonna lose my mind. It's and that's another thing that I'm like, well, you're stressing me out, which is raising my cortisol levels, which is probably making this worse. I'm just not a fan of doctors right now. I know there are good ones out there that will listen, but I need to find them. I need to find one. Okay, I got one more question that I think this is really interesting. So somebody asked me, do you feel that having a mental health illness hinders your spirituality or abilities as a witch at all? So I like how they separated, like there's the spiritual aspect, but then there's also like magic, because not all pagans do magic and not all magic practitioners are pagans. So I like that kind of separation. But anyway, and for those of you who aren't aware, I do have bipolar disorder. I also have generalized anxiety disorder. And these are things I was diagnosed with going on 20 years ago. So this was present well before I officially started exploring witchcraft and paganism. Although I did first get introduced to witchcraft and started reading about it like a couple years before. But then my mom was like, throw that book away. It's the devil. And I did. So I didn't really get into it for a while. Sorry, scoot my bench around. Okay. But anyway, so that was something. Well, so one thing that I felt like it actually helped me was I had already been doing things like meditating because meditation was one of those things that I felt helped my anxiety more than anything, more than any, medication I had ever been put on. Meditation was the number one thing that helped with my anxiety and helped me, it basically helps you drive away those intrusive thoughts that can also lead to depression or worsen depression, or that just happen when you're depressed. So I'm not trying to say meditation was like a cure or anything, not by any means, but it definitely helps. So I already had a very stable foundational like practice of that. Same with shadow work. Shadow work was something I was already doing because I had been in therapy for years. And so that was one way that it was actually like, hey, this is a bonus. Like, hey, like I was reading books saying like, you need to start with this, you need to start with that. And I was like, I already got those down. We're good. Do I feel it hinders? So one way that I feel like the two go hand in hand, and I actually talk about this in my like little, sorry, the door is wide open. We've been having a heat wave, so I'm trying to get all the cool air into the apartment before it starts heating up later. So the door is wide open. And anyway, cars are going by, loud cars and motorcycles. But what was I saying? I feel like it gives me, witchcraft gives me a sense of control, and paganism gives me a sense of peace that I didn't really have when I was just agnostic. Because for years I was just straight agnostic before I started identifying as a pagan. And that was fine. I was comfortable with it. It was fine. But this new area of my life, I mean, it's not new now, but at the time, it really brought me a sense of belonging and purpose, control that I didn't have prior to that. Now, how it hinders, I mean, I think it hinders my like if I'm having an episode, whether it's depression or mania. Oh, I don't even want to talk about witchcraft when you're manic. That is, luckily, my manic episodes are very few and far between. I have not had one in a very long time. But I'm a very impulsive person when I'm manic, like dangerously impulsive. I have to get that under control really fast or I could ruin my life. For those of you who are familiar with bipolar disorder, like whether you have it yourself or you know someone or you're just educated on the topic, you know that, yeah, like tunnel vision, impulsivity, and mania go hand in hand in hand. And that is something where I'm just like, I curse you and I curse you and I'm gonna do. No, I feel like I would be too imbalanced myself for any of that to actually come to fruition, for manifestation. And then of course, depression is it's very difficult to, for me to perform spells or rituals. You know, I can do like I can put together like a jar or a charm bag or something like that to help with my depression, but it's so hard when you're deeply depressed. It is so hard to have the level of focus that you need to pull off a whole ritual or a whole spell. And I know for me, a lot of that is very negative thinking. Obviously, when you're depressed, it's very negative thinking. And I also feel very numb. So it's very hard to get the emotion behind the working. So that's one way it's hindered. But luckily, I'm pretty well balanced nowadays. So it's not like I'm not up and down and up and down and up and down all over the place like I used to be. So luckily that's not an issue I deal with very often. I have it in check. Like it still happens and I have ups and downs and good times and bad times. It's just not as chaotic as it used to be. I think the biggest hindrance is really the same hindrance that my bipolar disorder focuses more, I lean more towards depression than mania. But I do want to say, like, I would say, sorry, hold on one second. You almost done? Sorry, okay. Mikey is getting his coffee ready, so I wasn't sure if the faucet was too loud, but I wasn't sure, or sorry, I feel like it hinders my spirituality the same way it hinders all other aspects of my life. When I'm depressed, it's very hard. It is very hard to, it does still bring me a certain amount of peace, but there is a certain hopelessness. I not get too heavy with this, but there is a certain hopelessness that I feel, and I start to question, like, oh, what is this even doing for me? Or like, what's the purpose of this? Because I get very negative, I get very in my head about it. And it's, I hope this is making sense. But luckily I do still kind of, when I'm depressed, I do still force myself to observe, what I need to observe. And I still try to find beauty in nature and in the world around me and in synchronicities and things like that, because it does help me go like, okay, this is just, like I said, cycles are a big part of my craft, so I always have to come back to this is just part of my cycle, is the ups, the downs, the normal. So I hope that answered that question. Okay, there's a lot of talk in the chat, so let me scroll up really fast because I really want to read what y'all is saying, and I need water. My mouth is very dry. Oh my God, Emmy, I know. Sorry, the only help doctors are able to provide anymore is to help hospitals and insurance companies get rich. I see you also live in America. Yeah. I mean, I try not to be like negative about it, but that is really how it feels. But it's also weird. Like the fact that I went to 4 different doctors and the fourth one is the first one who ordered blood tests for me. Like, why? Like just ordering a basic blood panel for, your make sure, check your iron, check your, do you have any vitamin deficiencies? What's your whole metabolic panel, comprehensive metabolic panel? Like those are basic things most people get done annually. I have insurance, so just order the, okay, I'm trying not to like cuss too hard right now, but just order the damn blood tests. That was so annoying. Yeah, no. I'm like trying to stay positive, but I also agree with you. Yeah, so that was one of the things with hypothyroidism. I did order some blood tests on my own because my doctors wouldn't order them. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy them myself. So I paid out of pocket for them, and they did come back normal. I have had people suggest like get imaging done on your thyroid anyway, so that's something I'm considering. But I'm waiting for other blood tests to come back first for other possibilities before I get in my doctor's face and just like order the imaging, order the other tests. Like, so yeah. Excuse me, I'm burping over here. Janet was saying how your view of Hecate will always be fluid. And yeah, that's exactly pretty much what I expect out of that. And I expect her to at times mimic, yeah, like my own, where am I at in this cycle? But sometimes even though like I'm not actually a mother, like sometimes because I'm caring for people, I do a lot of, like my mom has a lot of health issues, and sometimes I almost feel like a mother to her when I'm trying to help her out. I don't ever want to tell her that because she would view it she'd think that's very patronizing, but but sometimes I feel very motherly towards her. Or towards like friends or my sister if if they're going through something. And so even I sometimes feel like my place in that cycle is in flux, just day to day. So that's another reason why, I am frozen on my own laptop. Oh no. Hold on, guys. Sorry. I hope that's just my laptop and not the actual stream. We'll see in a second. Okay. It looks like we're good. I think it was just my laptop. Sorry if it was on your guys' end as well. I'm so sorry. Okay. So I'm backing up. Still trying to catch up in the chat. A lot was said while I was talking, which I love. Sorry that you have to watch me sit and read. Yeah, see, I mean, that's the other thing I was thinking about is I've never had my thyroid tested before. So I was thinking, that's exactly what I was thinking I'm just like, okay, well, this says I'm normal, but like where is that number coming from? And everybody is so different, especially like being in a health related field. I know a lot about the mechanisms of the body. I'm certainly no doctor. Like I'm not I'm not trying to compare my level of knowledge with the level of knowledge of a doctor, um, but I know enough to know people are so different and people's bodies function so differently that I'm just like, okay, cool, but what does this mean? So I will probably go back and get the test done again at another point, and like compare the two, because I don't know what my baseline is. I've never had the test done before. And yeah, it's all very weird. Yeah, I've also oh, yeah, because that was the other thing is my grandmother, my maternal grandmother has hypothyroidism. So I'm just like, okay, I already have a family history of this. Like, probably something we should look into. So it was very infuriating that I had to pay for that out of pocket, that nobody would just, especially because it's a simple blood test, it's not anything crazy. Like, so I'm just like, I should not have had to do this. um, yeah, and I'm thinking about just seeing if I can find an endocrinologist because I'm pretty certain this is a hormonal thing. I'm thinking about finding like a GI doctor or an endocrinologist or both that I don't have to have a referral for because that's been the other thing I've been fighting for is trying to get referrals from a GP for the right specialist. And again, I had one doctor straight up tell me it's because you're a woman over 30. And he kept questioning, like, well, how much are you exercising? And I'm like, yo, dude, I weight lift several days a week. I go hiking at least once a week, especially now that my foot's better and prior to my foot being broken. Uh, and I was just like, and I was like, I'm like, look, here's my log of all of my food. I weigh and measure everything I eat. I have everything tracked. I can show it to you. Like, I was at a caloric deficit I was only eating 1,300 calories a day for months and I gained 20 pounds, which is impossible. Like, unless there's something wrong with me, that defies physics. So, like, do something. And I asked him, I was like, can you just do like a hormone test? And this was prior to me like starting to do the research for myself. And I asked, can you do some sort of hormone or blood test or whatever? And he just went, no. Infuriating. And then he told me we could do gastric bypass. Which I was like, you won't give me a simple blood test, but you'll suggest a surgery. That doesn't make any sense. Like, especially because I was thinking, I'm like, I'm not at a weight that I want to be, and I'm not necessarily at like the healthiest weight for me, but I'm not at risk yet. I'm not at risk for I just it was just so unnecessary. It was just so unnecessary that I was just like, okay, I'm never coming back here ever again. Like, I was fuming in his office. Like, I was absolutely fuming, and I was just like, and he just kept talking. He just kept talking. And I was just like, he needs to shut up. I'm glad I was wearing my mask. I was just like, he needs to stop talking so I can leave, and I need to go into my car in the parking lot and I need to scream. um, that's a great definition. Witchcraft brings control and paganism brings peace. That's so simple but so deep. Thank you. Yeah, that's exactly how I view it for me. Um, like, I understand there will always still be things outside of my control in life, of course. But witchcraft itself, even just as a secular practice, um, does so much to make me feel so much more in control of my life. And it also tied in with my paganism. It helps me feel proactive, like I'm taking charge of things in my life. Also, I'm so sorry, guys. I kept venting about the health issues, and I was like, I'm going to save this for the vlog. Don't worry. And I kept going on about it. But sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, What am I doing for Letha? So today I'm celebrating Father's Day. I'm gonna try to get up at sunrise. Tomorrow. We'll see if it happens. I'm gonna try though. I'm gonna set an alarm and try. So I'm gonna make some sun water, solstice sun water, and I also have a candle that I put together and I dressed it and everything, and I used part of it for a ritual that I did with my coven, which I'm not sure if I want to go into the specifics of it just because it was a very personal ritual that we did together. So I'm going to think over how much of that I want to talk about, and I'll put it in the vlog for June. But I'm going to light that candle and let it burn for the whole rest of the day. And then I am going to go on a hike. So I'm excited. I mean, I'm usually not so negative. Guess I got you. That's okay. No, I wasn't sorry. I wasn't trying to be like, oh my gosh, you're being so negative. I try to be more positive. Like, no, I am just like, I feel you when you say that. I'm like, I totally get where you're coming from. Could it be fluid sorry, I can't talk anymore. Could it be fluid retention? So that's the other thing. I know definitely part of it is weight gain, just based off of measuring out my body fat percentage with a proper scale for that sort of thing. But I definitely think that some of it is just like water retention, which is one of the reasons why I'm leaning towards celiac disease, even though celiac disease usually comes with weight loss. Because like when I have gluten and I have to keep eating gluten to get the blood test done. So for now I have to keep eating it, but I've started tracking. Like I don't eat it in the morning and I track how I feel, and then I eat it and I write down like when I ate it, what I ate, when I start having symptoms, what they are, what time they happen. And one thing I deal with is like my hands and feet swelling. The swelling keeps going up and going down. The bloating, of course, things like that. And so that is one thing I've thought about, and one thing that I've read about. So I am wondering, and I am very curious to see what happens when I go completely gluten-free, which I'm probably going to do anyway, because just actually looking at the side effects that come up when I've, now that I'm actually tracking that, like what happens, what time, when I eat what, I'm just like, oh, there's definitely a gluten tie-in with this. But of course, gluten can affect most people with celiacs, gluten intolerance, and of course, like Hashimoto's usually have to go gluten-free. So right now it's more just like, I feel like, yeah, I need a diagnosis to figure out, like, do I need to be put on a synthetic hormone? All that fun stuff. Okay. Okay, bye, Jacob. Sorry, I probably missed you because you typed this a while ago, but bye. It was nice chatting with you. I actually went to high school with Jacob, by the way, everybody. For those of you who I was like, oh, is this the Jacob that I know? And then I was like, well, that's a pretty common first and last name combination. So, but I haven't talked to him in years. So that was like, I didn't even know, because I don't publicize the channel on my personal social media. So that's just like a crazy thing that he found the channel and tuned in. That's awesome. Sorry, I'm just like, I love when cool things like that happen. How did you know it was Hecate calling? I'm definitely okay with sharing that. So I did do a video on this, so I will gloss over the details right now. But I did do a video that I released last week. My days are all mixed up. I think it was last week I released it. It's called like my current thoughts on working with deity as an agnostic or something like that. But you'll find the full list, or it's not even the full list because the full list is long, but I did get kind of hit over the head with signs because I was very not paying attention, not expecting a deity to call out to me. But this is a great question, Casey. The reason I knew it was Hecate because I had never really, like, I know some of my mythology, but I've never really dug too deep into deity work or like associations for deities because it wasn't something I'd ever felt called to do before. But I had been getting signs. And around the time that I had kind of started picking up that, oh, these are signs that are telling me something, but I don't know what, I released a video that was, sorry, it was an altar tour when I moved and I set up my new altar. And I had 3 different people email me asking me, are you sure you don't work with Hecate? Your altar looks like you work with Hecate. So that kind of pointed me in the right direction. And then I started realizing like, oh, a lot of my signs are coming at night. There's a lot of signs coming to me in 3s. There was a crossroads incident. There was a lot of things involving dogs. So that was like, I was going, okay, this makes a lot more sense. My key collection that I've been obsessed with since I was like 8 or 9 years old. Yeah, there was a lot, but I do put more details in that video, so I encourage you to check it out. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Beyond authentic. Like, do your thing. You've got your own channel, so you've got work to do. I get you. Okay, so feel free to ask some more questions. I am going to do. I don't know why I do that. I start a sentence and then halfway through it, I drink water. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not good at this whole live stream thing. I am going to do our collective bone reading for today. So I just like to do, we're doing a collective one for the whole chat. So it'll just sort of be a general, we'll see what happens. I did this last time and it was very interesting how it came about. I'm just going to cleanse this really fast while I'm talking. It came out as a very general reading that was, I thought it was really cool. If you weren't there for that one or if you didn't see it later, you look like a McKenna. I hope McKennas are pretty. I definitely don't think I look like a Tiffany. I am a Tiffany, but I don't think I look like one. But I think that's because the name Tiffany is so stereotyped from like popular culture that like I just don't look like a Tiffany. But I'll take McKenna. I like that name. Okay, so we're gonna do a general reading. Those are all nice and cleansed. So let's just charge this up really fast. Yeah, so it'll just be no specific questions, just any signs that we all kind of need right now. Oh, red hair and blue eyes. Oh, really? By the way, hello Nadine and hello Happy Trees. I don't think I've said hello yet. So good morning, hello, or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are in time zone, where your time zone is. Yeah, my name's Tiffany. I know, I don't, yeah. My parents were going for the jewelry store when they went with that name, but I definitely don't look like one. Okay, so we're gonna do our general bone reading for everybody, and then I'm gonna wrap it up for today. But if you still have questions, I can stick around a little bit longer. I don't mind. I have to get ready to go over to I didn't do a full face of makeup yet because I still got to get ready to go over to my parents' house in a bit. But if you have more questions, I'm still happy to stick around a little bit longer. So put them in the chat while we're doing the reading and let's see what we got. So let me just charge this up really fast. Okay, here we go. Okay, we got our first item. Oh, second and third. Okay. Now, I know this would... Hey, Enter the Dark. How's it going? Good to see you. I'm doing okay. I'm surviving. Do I know the topic of the next video I'm uploading? Do I? I have it written down in my phone, but I'm filming this with my phone. So, I know that pretty soon I'm going to do, sorry, I have the reading items laid out right now. I'll get to those in just a second. I know I'm going to do a video on, like, shoot, what was it? On like what the wheel of the, so I have a video about the wheel of the year, but I really wanted to do a video on where the wheel of the year came from. So my channel's now about a year old. Yay, happy birthday to my channel. That was May 31st. Anyway, so last year I did all of the Sabbats on like how to celebrate them, different spells you can do for them, or like spell intentions you want to focus on, decor for the Sabbats. So this year, from Letha all the way around the whole wheel, I'm going to do the history of them. And so I thought I should probably put out a video on like where our contemporary wheel of the year came from. So I do know that I think that's happening this week, but I don't remember exactly when. Tomorrow is my script writing day, so that's when I get a better that's when I get a better idea of like what I gotta look at my schedule on my phone though. I'm so sorry. Oh, thank you. Like I have been stupidly busy, but okay, good. Oh, I'm glad to hear that. I didn't hear back from you, and I was just like, I hope those were helpful, but I was like, maybe they're just busy reading, but that's okay. Don't worry. I wasn't like offended or anything. So, okay. So for our collective reading, I have 3 items. I just do a 3-item pull for this. So the first item that we got is an broken amethyst ring. And so keep in mind with this bone collection, I do have a video on bone throwing, and not all items in the collection are bones. And so these items are put together because this is my personal collection that I put in here. So these items have a personal meaning. Each one has a personal meaning for me specifically that may not necessarily line up with, like if there's like a clove in there or like a certain seashell or something, like it may not necessarily be what it would correspond to in your practice. It would be, what meaning I drew from it based on its correspondences. Yes, but also how did I find it? Where did I find it? When did I find it? Things like that. And what it represents to me very personally. So if the definitions seem a little weird, that's why. But this is how I gather I have a whole video on bone reading if you're confused on how that works. But anyway, first item is an amethyst ring that it was a ring. It's now broken. And so this represents broken things. It represents like just because something's broken doesn't mean that it's not still beautiful and still useful. But it also may represent a gift that is going to waste and needs to be utilized. So we also have a cinnamon stick. And so that is home, family, close relationships, anything involving home life. And then finally we have star anise, which I still always like to reread my definitions as I go. I know this would look a lot cooler if I just knew them like off the top of my head, but I always like to reread them just to make sure I'm not missing something. And so this one's very like, it's for having trust, have trust and have faith in something. It's hard to say without knowing like a specific context of this, and since this is a general reading, we don't have a specific context, but it also means to consecrate, bless, or purify. And so let me think. Now I'm putting these together. I would read this as, so definitely we have the home aspect. So I want everybody to consider like their current home life, whether that's, just like the literal state of their home or their close relationships within the home, relationships with pets or their pets or the well-beings of others who live with them. So focusing on that, we have the blessing or having trust, as well as, I would view this as a reading that is saying like, there's something broken, broken within your home. Like, I don't want to say, I don't want to say like your guys' home life is broken. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. But we all have things that are not 100% perfect within our home life, right? Um, and or potentially there's something within your home that is not being it's not being cherished enough. That's within the home or home relationships. But you need to have faith and sort of take the time to appreciate that. Look at it for what it is. And you know, don't take things for granted, but also, you know, if something is not working, look on how to, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean, sorry, just because something is broken doesn't mean it's not working. So let me know if this is speaking to you guys, like if this makes sense, if this you don't have to put any of your personal like issues or anything like that or in the chat if you're not comfortable with it, of course. But I'm very curious if this is speaking to any of you. But I'm actually trying to think of how this fits in with my own life right now. But it's I would definitely take this as like there's something that's not quite right in your home life, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe take a moment to look at all of the good things that are going on and have appreciation for those. Don't take them for granted, and trust that things will be okay, and that maybe this thing that right now isn't such a great thing may later turn out to be beneficial, or it happened for a good reason. So things could improve later. And again, whether that is a burst pipe in your basement, or there's some tension in a relationship with someone you live with, a parent, sibling, roommate, significant other, whatever that is, take a step back and take a breather and just understand that that's happening for a reason. Trust the process and appreciate all the good that is around that. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Am I seeing that right? Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. I did not know. Is that a donation? I didn't know I could get those on here. So I'm just so shocked. But also, hey Laura, good morning. Good morning. But anyway, yes, I hope that made sense to everybody. Maybe take a second and meditate on this today. That's awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That's so sweet of you. I had no idea that could be done on here. Oh, I see it now. Show your support. Wow. I can take donations during live streams. I had no idea. I should probably know that. Like I feel like that's something that I should be aware I'm able to receive. But thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. I really, really appreciate that. That's so sweet. Oh, okay. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't know that was like an automatic thing once I got monetized. Like I'm assuming when I got monetized, that became a thing. That's awesome. Okay, but the bone reading, I hope that made sense to everybody. If it doesn't, like if you're not really sure how that fits, maybe take a moment and meditate on it today, or maybe it wasn't talking to you. Sorry. If you're like, I don't think so. Yeah, just I know I'm gonna take some time and like consider that, think it over, and meditate on, because I mean I have my health issues, but other than that, things are going pretty well right now. So I really can't complain too much. So I'm like, that might be what it's talking about. Health is definitely like tied into home. So for me, that might be, although it's saying trust the process kind of pisses me off because I'm like, the process isn't working so far. 4 doctors, you guys. Okay. But if nobody has any further questions, I want to thank all of you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a wonderful Letha. Right now makes sense, especially around things that are a bit scary. Sorry, I'm waiting for your comment to pop up on the laptop. Yes. Yeah, and that was actually like a big kind of fear holding people back was a big theme in last month's reading. Um, and so I really feel you on that one. That was something that I had to definitely stop and think about and let it take full advantage of that reading and realizing like, oh my God. Thank you so much, Beyond Authentic. That is so sweet of you. I'm sorry. I'm just like it's like giving me the giggles because I not only feel so like I just love you guys so much. I not only just really, really appreciate it, but I'm just like it's giving me the giggles because I'm like I feel like as a content creator I should have known that I could receive donations on here and I had no clue. So that was just such a surprise. And then now I've got two. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys are wonderful. So yes, I love you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful midsummer. Excuse me. Wonderful midsummer or Letha, whatever you prefer to call it. Let me know. Drop something down in the comments below or shoot me an email and just let me know how you ended up celebrating because I love to hear about that sort of stuff. And sometimes I go like, oh, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna do that next year. I never thought to do that before. So I'm just gonna steal your guys' ideas. So let me know what you did or what you're currently doing. In the vlog, I will talk a little bit more about the Coven Letha celebrations and how those went without getting too personal because I don't want to, I want my Coven members to feel like there's privacy and secrecy. So I'll go into some of it. Anyway, I think it's everything. If any of you in here are fathers, happy Father's Day. It is Father's Day here. So yes, or single mothers who also had to play the position of both. Happy Father's Day, or additional Mother's Day, or I feel like I'm being exclusionary because I know there's other situations that don't quite fit that. But you know what? Happy Father's Day to everybody. I'm just going to say that. Everybody out there, happy Father's Day. Happy Midsummer, happy Letha. I think that's all I need to say. So yeah, that's everything for today. I love you all so much. Stay magical, and I will see you all next time. I can't find... There we go.